Mind you, it's not the first time she cheated. You know what I mean? I continued the marriage because I live by my wedding vow. I try to live by my wedding vows. Richer for poor, sicker for health, sickness and health. You know what I'm saying? Better for worse, and death do us part. So you try to work through things. She said, I think we should do therapy. I said, okay. Even though I'm private and I don't like to speak to people about my personal business, that was a very, very difficult thing for me to do. So when we go to therapy, the therapist says, do y'all want to get a divorce or do y'all want to work it out? Me and her both said we want to work it out. I'm going to be honest. Because honestly, I didn't want to not live under the same roof as my 5-year-old. Because I told Rem back then, before I even clipped him, I said, when I catch son, I'm putting him down. I'm putting him down. He violated, you know what I'm saying? And what I noticed, when I found out, I noticed that every time me and her stepped out and made an appearance, he'd go post on his gram, do little sucker shit. He'd go make a post on his story about us. So I'm watching this. Mind you, y'all, I'm not saying nothing the whole time. I know this nigga sleeping with my wife, but I ain't saying nothing. A couple days go by, things a little peaceful around the crib. Me, her, and my daughter, we all sleep in the same room. We go to bed. You know what I'm saying? It's bedtime. We sleep together in the same bed every night. As we sleeping in the bed.
Now, hold on now. I like Papoose. I think as a man, he's an upstanding man, it seems like. But I have to hold him accountable the same way I hold the ladies accountable on this channel when I talk about this. I think Papoose is one of those people that also overgives and overcovers and does too much. What I mean by that is people who have a bit of a savior complex, who want to do Bob the Builder projects, who, you know, so invested in the vision of their family, they're almost disrespecting themselves in a sense, right? I spoke about this with the AD and the Ashley situation about how they cover men. Well, Papoose is one of those guys that covers women because let's be honest, you know she's sleeping with other people. If you catch him, you're going to clip him, but y'all were staying in the same bed? And maybe I missed out the timelines. Maybe he means when they were in COVID times. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're saying that you're going to go to bed with this with the person who's sleeping with somebody else. Bro, you're sending a signal that everything she's doing is okay. Right? Now, she might not know that you know. I'm sure she does kind of know she knew because, you know, you probably let her know a little bit as well, right? But the fact that she's still able to have the safety of sleeping in the same bed with you and your daughter should tell you everything you need to know, bro. Now, you might have been thinking to yourself, I'm playing it nice, you know, because I want to see my daughter. Yeah, Papoose, I'm going to miss, you're going to miss you that stuff. The reality of the situation is I don't think you had enough respect to leave. And sometimes as men, we do this as well. Look, it's just playing out different. When men stay, we don't get to hear their stories. Men stay and do stuff like this as well. I've been a fool myself. I know. I've been a fool myself when a girl has done the dirtiest to me, betrayed me with somebody else. And I've been like, it's me or them. What the hell? She chose the person already. What the hell? She already chose the other guy already. Right? And sometimes you lack respect for you because you're so invested in the vision, you've forgotten that to even have vision, you need to be alive. You need to be healthy. And so sometimes we stick and stay in situations that really don't benefit us. And I said this the other day, that sometimes our empathy really is a lack of boundaries. Now, Papoose comes from a great home, it seems like. His parents are still together, they were married, whatever, etc., right? Why stick with this young lady? Well, actually, sometimes people have an anxious attachment. Because when you go really back to the video on Black Love, when they were doing a video, right, and him wanting to wait for her while she's in prison, the question is why? The question is why? I get it that you liked her, but why? Why would you want to stay? You have your pickings and choice of different women. Why would you want to stay a 10-year stretch? Now, listen, hey, I'm not saying nobody should be waiting for anybody. And what I'm saying to you is why? The question is why? So we can understand the process. And when you watch the interaction between himself and Remy Ma, it always seems like he's more feminine. And he's not that he is feminine. I want to make it very clear. In their relationship, because of how strong she seems in character and vibe, but I also feel like she doesn't also emote very well. When you listen to them, how they interact, he seems to be the more emotionally expressive. So when I say about more feminine, what I really mean by that, I should have taken that back. I'll take that back. Is that he's more emotionally expressive, and sometimes what ends up happening is you end up covering the person for the parts where they fail. Now that's supposed to happen in a relationship. You're supposed to cover each other. You're not supposed to just let everybody just fall down and die. But the reality of the situation is, I felt like he might have been. Now I'm looking back at it now. I'm like, he might have been overreaching. He might have been doing too much, trying to cover her in areas where she needs to be accountable. And sometimes what happens is we want to cover people so bad because we love them. And of course, the Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. Yeah, but the reality is sometimes people need to be accountable for what they do. And sometimes we have to expose them to the consequences of what they do. Let's just go back. I want to make sure I heard it correctly, right?
He violated, you know what I'm saying? And what I noticed, when I found out, I noticed that every time me and her stepped out and made an appearance, he'd go post on his gram, do little sucker shit. He'd go make a post on his story about us. So I'm watching this. Mind you, y'all, I'm not saying nothing the whole time. I know this nigga sleeping with my wife, but I ain't saying nothing. Couple days go by, things a little peaceful around the crib. Me, her, and my daughter, we all sleep in the same room. We go to bed. You know what I'm saying? It's bedtime. We sleep together in the same bed every night.
Yeah. See what I'm saying to you? He's more invested in the vision. Now, someone might say this is so honorable. And I'll say to you, is it? To deny how you actually feel and know the partner is cheating on you. Sometimes you think that just women do this a lot, right? I did it for the kids. He's doing it for the kids. And I respect it, right? He might do it for the kid. But the fact of the matter is, it leads to more disrespect. I realize this, that sometimes we think by allowing people to disrespect us, right, would make them think they shouldn't disrespect you some more. No, people that are disrespectful want to disrespect you even more. So here's what I've learned. Nail it in the bud straight away. Nip it in the bud straight away. Nail them to the wall quickly. So you let them know that, listen, this behavior doesn't work with me. So either you stop it or there's consequences, right? And so sometimes we want to be like, I'm going to give him so much grace. But grace doesn't mean I don't give you a consequence. Okay, you know what I mean? Like if you're being rude and disrespectful towards me and you're shouting in my face, I'm not going to be like, okay, well, I want to give you grace. I'm going to say, listen, you need to stop shouting at me, right? When you begin to shout at me, I stop listening to you, right? And there's a disconnect that's going to happen between the two of us because once I stop listening, I'm not paying attention anymore to what you're saying, which means now we're not going to connect emotionally. So I'm going to need you to bring the volume down, right, and stop screaming in my face. Other than that, let me take a break, you take a break, and we'll come back. But what we're not going to do is you're going to have me shouting at me. That's disrespectful, and I don't play that game. If you don't let people know that there's a line, honestly, the line will keep moving. That's what I'm saying. We need to hold Papoose accountable. I'm sorry, we hold the women accountable all the time, and they are rightly to be held accountable. But Papoose needs to be held accountable.
As we're sleeping in the bed, I fall asleep. My daughter's in the middle of us. So it's two beds in our room now at this time because she started doing weird things around the crib or whatever. So me, her, and my daughter in the same bed. It's another bed over there. I wake up. It's just me and my daughter in the bed. So I get up. I see her in the other bed. So I go over to the other bed. And as I go to the other bed, I notice that her phone is on. When I pick up the phone, I see the lame on the phone. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay.
See what I mean about disrespect? It just continues, bro. That's why I say you got to nail it, blood. Once I learned this, because a lot of times it's not because you're not. People think that they're giving grace, and really what you're doing is being passive. You're not. You think I'm giving them grace? No, you're being passive, and you're being conflict avoidant. You don't want to deal with a conflict right now because it's going to blow up your spot. But you should be conflict. You should be in the conflict. You should address it, right? You should bring this up to the table because this is disrespectful, right? And so anytime we try to ignore the disrespect, it just grows.
She on the phone with Delane. So after that, I woke her up. Hey, what's going on? This what you doing in here? This is what we doing? She started lying again, fabricating, this, that, and the third. Long story short, she kept cheating with Delane. I finds out she got an apartment 40 minutes away from our crib where she lays up with Delane. Leaves and say she's going to work, leaves, say she's going to do this and do that, but she goes to the crib. I've been there. I can actually give y'all the address. So she got this. She got another crib, and shout the. I don't even want to put this nigga under the bus, man. But this another individual who was married and got a crib not too far from the home of his family. But I ain't gonna put him out there.
Damn. I guess they're all cheating out here. But listen, look, if you're out here and you're thinking to yourself, listen, Papoose is the one I got cheated on. I absolutely agree. He's the one I got cheated on. But like I said to the women as well, right? When we stay in situations that no longer benefit us, where people are willing to disrespect us continuously, and we don't address those things, you're going to encounter more disrespect, right? So yes, Remy Ma is absolutely wrong for cheating. But like the same way I told the man them, like, yo, like, I tell the ladies that, yo, when the man cheating on you and they're cheating on you consistently, and you got to look at yourself, I'm looking at Papoose like, you got to look at yourself, bro. Are you good or you're nice? Because good will mean you have boundaries, and that's not to say again he's not upliving the upholding the values and the vows that he said. But the vows are for better, for worse. But when you cheat, it breaks that covenant. So at the end of the day, you got to look at it differently. There should have been a whole hard reset, like they said. They went to therapy. That's a whole hard reset. Like they should have already been cheating before, right? Now I don't know if those issues actually got really resolved previously. I need a bit more information to go a little bit deeper. So hopefully it explains it a bit more, and I'll go and watch my other videos as well. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. Let me know your thoughts.